Man, everybody, welcome to Financial November. We had to bring somebody in. I was about to wear all red like Jill Biden when she went to go vote the other day, so I can match Diamond Dave. But I'm traveling. I ain't got my red. We'll do it next week though, for sure.
I feel you.
Uh, for the red wave. Okay. So the title of this show is "How to Thrive in the Stock Market After This Election." We have our guest, Diamond Dave, Stock Market Sharks. Come on in, guys. Do right. Drop your city and state in the chat. And everybody's looking for you. They was asking me to bring you on and tell them what's going on. So I want to kick off the show with your review of what just happened the past, I guess, what at this point, 48 hours or 24
Yeah.
hours?
What's about 48 hours?
48 hours. We
Yeah.
48 hours out from a historical night.
Yeah.
Give us your review of what's going on.
Okay, so really glad to be here. It's been a minute, so I'm glad to come through and just, kind of continue to make sure we continue to give that value like we've always done. So what we've seen over the past 48 hours is just the market's just gone on a massive move. There was a lot of money outside of the market. We can kind of get into that a little bit later. But what we've seen is just a lot of euphoria in the market. A lot of people trying to take advantage of the situation. We've seen crypto go up. We've seen the overall market go up. We've seen individualized tickers go up. But we've just seen a lot of euphoria in the market. I felt that the Trump win was already priced in.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it seems that there was some more excitement that was attached to it that is being added onto the market. Right. And so what we're looking for now, because we just had the FOMC meeting, we got what we thought we were going to get out of that. We didn't get kind of any negative news from that press conference. What I'm looking for is to try to figure out is it going to continue into next week and we continue to build up, because what happens normally this time of the year is the market goes up with something we call Santa Claus rally. So the way the market kind of goes from a cycle standpoint is it builds up towards the end of the year. So what we're looking for is this to continue. We may get a little bit of profit taking, but what I'm looking for is November and December to also finish strong going into the inauguration.
For sure. So, I had people hit me up. Oh man, we about to be bull market. Yeah. We're gonna, Trump gonna be tweeting. He gonna be doing. Listen, y'all. Trump's 78 now. He got a lot of energy. But that last couple of days, he looked like he wanted to be like, whoo, find me a chair. Okay. Yeah. I think what we saw is this energy. And what do I mean? I think people are excited. Yeah. They're happy. Doesn't mean it changes the conditions on the ground. It just means that they are excited. They are happy. But I think this is good for us and it's good for the marketplace. Now, one of the biggest things, the questions I sent out to the email list, I said, you guys got any questions for Diamond Dave? Now, people are like, do I really need $20,000 to get in the stock market? Do I need thousands of dollars? And I feel like I brought you on the channel multiple times, but let us just tap back in a little bit. Okay. And say, how did you start in the market? Did you start with $30,000? Did you start with this high amount of money? And just let's kick it from there.
Yeah. See, I didn't start with anything close. I didn't even start with $1,000. I started trading options on banks with a few $100s. Mm-hmm. And I was just very meticulous around what I did. And we also saw banks run up because people assume that Trump's going to deregulate the banking system. Mm-hmm. So I started with a few $100s, very meticulous, and just built my account up. Because one thing about money, and I know you understand this, is that money compounds over time. Mm-hmm. So if you're just very disciplined with it, you're willing to work with it, it can build up over time. But I definitely wouldn't recommend, and even though I can't give financial advice, that somebody starts with an account with thousands of $1,000s in it, because you're going to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. And I would rather have somebody make mistakes with a small amount of money as opposed to a large amount of money.
Yes, we definitely want people to build confidence. I think because everybody's told, man, I need thousands of dollars to get a business off the ground. How much do I need to save, Erica? That's everybody's, I need a guaranteed win. And I always go, baby, I ain't got no guarantees. Yeah. I don't know a person that sells guarantee. If they are, call me, let me know so I can report them to SEC and get a check. Okay. So, because that's a check right there. Okay. So listen, the average everyday person, and I'm just going to say 70 plus million working Americans make 30 grand, 500 a year. Yeah. And from your experience, could someone part-time pull, an extra 500, extra $1,000 a month out of the stock market? What's something you've noticed or a trend you've seen that's kind of reasonable amount of money they can pull out the market?
Oh, that's definitely reasonable. In fact, I just want to be real with people. So like the goal of what we do in our program is to try to get you to pull $20,000 a year out of the market. Okay. And for some people that can seem unreasonable, but what I tell people is that if you're just consistent with it. So I see learning the market kind of like taking maybe a trade program. Give yourself 2 years. And I think if a person applies themselves for 2 years, they learn how the market actually moves. It is very much reasonable because it's just about developing a skill. And so to be real with you today, I know for a fact I made over 1,000. I don't know how much over 1,000 I made just today. But once you start trading, you'll have time periods to where you'll pull 5,000, 10,000 out of the market over the course of a week, right? It's very much reasonable because of the way in which the market works. Because as traders, we're looking for days like the last 2 days where we're in a really, really strong direction to move, and it's easy to make money in the market, right? And what you want to do is learn how to take advantage of those opportunities as opposed to jumping in and out of the market, and then you don't really know how to take advantage of these type of opportunities. Because if the market keeps running going into December, it's just going to print more money. And so that's what I want people to understand. Yes, you can make, I mean, I'm not trying to I can't guarantee anything. But a lot of people that have taken our course, I remember there's a video on my page with Meg, and she talked about having a first $1,000 day. We had a brother that came in on one of my live streams, I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago. He said he did 30,000 this year trading. He works full time. So the person that's making $35,000, $40,000 a year, one of the reasons why we created the program is because options have a low barrier to entry. You don't need as much money as you need if you're going to try to trade futures. And I really believe that the leverage that they create, because they're a leverage product, allow you to get bigger returns. You just have to understand what you're doing. And that's what we come up with the training in the community and the education.
Okay. So when they come to you guys, they buy the course, they have like a Discord, a Telegram, or is there some place they're meeting with you guys and talking?
Great question. So what we have is we have a Discord, and that Discord has been running since probably 2019, maybe 2020, because we may not have been connected at that time. They kicked me off of Facebook. So I moved everything to Discord. And one thing I like about Discord is it's a lot more stable, and it's really worked for the people that are consistent with it. So we have a really good community there. I'm in there, other people are in there, and we're all adding value, and we are all supporting each other. But it's really like traders just having conversation. Because one thing about trading, and people that are familiar with like real estate know this, traders talk to other traders.
Right.
And they get their perspectives on stuff. And it doesn't mean that they're looking for them to tell them what to trade. Is that you're looking to talk to somebody that's in the same space as you, that has a different perspective, and maybe you can learn something from them and look at the market a little bit different. You can pick up different skills, different points, right? So it's a Discord. We also do a live stream twice a month. You got questions, you want to talk about trades. I've been doing that pretty much since 2022. And then we have the education. So all of that is essentially like a community. There's a lot of consistency, but it's really designed to help you become successful. And I'm very much committed to that, because what I don't want people to do, and I was talking to somebody last night, is I believe that we could potentially, the market could run up for an extended period of time. I don't want people to miss out because they didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, if you guys are excited about learning more about the stock market, drop a 1 in the comments for me right now, because I think y'all understand there's so much money moving across our face, in front of our face. I'm talking about millions, like they gave Joe Rogan 200 million, 120 million actually in stock options of Spotify. And people are like, what's the point of that? Like nobody even understood, like that's money. He can tell that, right? It was a way for them to give him something without giving him something.
Yeah.
And I don't want y'all to miss the lesson in that. Part of one of the questions someone asked, which I thought was a good one, was like, how many presidents have you traded under?
Trump, Biden, and Trump again now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So Trump, Biden, and Trump again.
How did you feel about Trump? All those tweets he was tweeting while he was in there?
I mean, it worked for me because I understood how to ride the volatility. And because as a trader, I want volatility.
Right.
So I'm looking for the market to move in a certain direction. Other people that I was educating, they adjusted to it by learning how to trade different instruments. However, it didn't really bother me because I liked the fact that it created volatility. So at that time, his first election, I was trading a lot of gold. And because he wanted the dollar to be weaker, it was bringing the gold market up. So I liked the fact that he was tweeting it because he was asking for the dollar to become weaker, which was driving more money into the gold market. So that really was benefiting me.
Right.
So one thing I learned about Trump, and we'll probably get into it on this particular broadcast, is I want people to understand, learn how to play off what he's doing, as opposed to just getting mad over what he's doing. He's going to do what he's going to do. How can I take what he's doing and use that to swing some money my way?
For sure. So one of the things I thought was fascinating is I saw Jim Cramer come out last minute, Kamala's going to win. And anybody who, gets the internal joke or is in kind of the stock market area of learning, if Jim Cramer tells you something, do the opposite.
Yeah.
It's almost like Jim Cramer gets a call from big companies, and they're like, hey, I need you to hit the sell button on that one, right? It's very interesting. There's a lot of moving parts. How can a person, if they just came to the computer today and they're like, Diamond Dave, all I know about is Tesla. I see that in the news. How can I learn about more companies or educate myself on companies?
I mean, first thing I do is just read some financial publications, right? So Yahoo Finance is relatively free. There's some other financial publications that are free, or especially now because we're in the YouTube era, the financial channels on YouTube, the actual, I would say, official financial channels, Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg, Financial Times, they have really, really good education that's free.
Right.
And so what I would encourage people to do is just tap into their channel. Bloomberg and Yahoo, they go live during when the market is open. And so you're constantly getting information from them around the market. And over time, it'll just raise your level of intelligence on the market because it'll start to become your conversation. So one of the things that I do in the particular course is I encourage people to read about the markets 30 minutes a day. Because I believe that if you do that for 6 months, your level of understanding about the market will be superior to most people inside the United States. Because they're not getting that education, right? They're getting the mainstream media's education. But when you go into the financial publications, you'll notice that the conversation is totally different. And so what I want to encourage people to do is start getting that different conversation, because the way money's moving and the way capital's moving, the way capital's positioned is something you talk about a lot in your show, especially from the real estate standpoint. Where's money going to different cities to build? That's a totally different conversation than what the average person is talking about. And when you learn how to position based on that, you can put yourself in a position to be successful.
For sure. One of the things I always bring up this movie, and I still will keep bringing it up. And again, thank you guys all for the super chats tonight. I am going to read your questions. We're going to definitely be thankful. I'm going to read this one off before I go to that movie quote. But what are your thoughts on trading bots for newbie traders?
I would not encourage it, because I think if you're a newbie, I would encourage you to learn how to trade first.
Right.
And then use a bot to automate your own process. If I'm coming as a newbie and I'm buying somebody else's bot, I still don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And so something I'm not a fan of is a person not knowing how they made money, because then they also don't know how they lost money. Therefore, when the bot doesn't work, you don't know why you lost money, because you didn't know why you was making money in the first place.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's a group I was in, and they were, marketing the software for like 12 grand. Yeah. I'm thinking, oh my God, that's crazy. Then on top of having the 12 grand software, you had to put 5 grand in the account, for the bot to act right. Yeah. And then I was like, well, what's the percentage returns y'all getting? It was like 5 to 7%. I was like, baby, I think I can do better by myself. And so everything I'm just going to tell y'all every time, please listen to the whole presentation. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, let me hear this presentation. And I was like, wait a minute. I appreciate both of your valuable insight. Thank you so much for the super chat, Mr. Brian Ash. I saw another one over here. Thank you so much, Ray Gun 34, helping us inside the chat tonight. Terrence S, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. You can leave a comment if you want. You done dropped it. Thank you, Miss Phoenix, for being a member for 34 months behind the paywall. And thank you, Ray Gun, for the drops. Part of what I was going to say is there's a movie, and I always bring it up, and it's Boiler Room, right? Yeah. And in the beginning of the movie, he's riding the bus, and he's like, I'm not black, so I can't do the drug hustle. I'm just paraphrasing terribly. He's like, but I do the white boy hustle, stocks. And I always laugh in that movie, but I always go, that's so culturally ingrained that they can hop on the stock market and trade. I feel like that's what makes me so sad, and sometimes for our community, because I'm like, hey, like we're every day going to the store, we're buying Nikes, we're going to the store, we're buying juices, we're eating certain foods or certain companies that are packaging. All these things are on the stock market. How can we encourage more young people and older people to trade?
I think we just got to talk to him about it more. Something that I was talking to about with a younger guy, he's under 30 early this week, is that I just think that we're at the beginning of a particular stage where a lot of our people haven't been exposed to the markets. And so we're kind of like in an emerging market, but we're still on the ground floor getting ready to move up. But I just think it's going to take more exposure, talking to more people about it, getting them exposed to it, and then starting to try to build the belief that they have a place in this particular space. Because when I first came into this space, I didn't see anybody that looked like me. I thought you needed a PhD. I thought you had to wear a suit. But just getting more people that look like us, that actually are legitimate in the space, actually know what they're talking about, and start building that belief that we actually is a place for us here, And because of technology, because of things like automation, the barrier to entry has been a lot lower. So now we don't have to go through a lot of the older institutions to get access to the market.
And you know, the thing I was thinking about is when I see people, they were showing people having car emergencies for under $1,000, these small emergencies, and I go, people are liquidating things out of their house just to pay for these really small emergencies. Now, I'm not going to say you just hop on the computer and pull out $1,000 tomorrow. That's not. I don't want y'all to think that, but I want people to be educated enough that they're not in those situations, that they could take a margin loan or they could take some type of personal loan from their M1 Finance account, their E-Trade account, their TD Ameritrade account. They'd have this reserve. One of the things I did when I started one of my companies is I liquidated one of the accounts.
Yeah.
I just took a couple thousand out and said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that money. And so I look at it sometimes as a forced savings, which I shouldn't, but sometimes I look at it as a forced savings. What are some things you can encourage people or say how your life has changed since you started trading?
Well, one of the biggest things it's done is that before I was trading, my experience in making money was like a job or doing some type of client-based business.
Mm-hmm.
And in both situations, I had to ask somebody to allow me to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of tired of that type of relationship dynamic.
Right.
So this morning I woke up and there's a company that, based on Trump's policy, that a lot of people believe is going to do really well.
Right.
And because I was in that trade, I was very confident I was going to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it just really did was the autonomy and the independence it gave me to where I'm not always stressed around having to make money for other people or whether or not I can make money.
Right.
Now, at the same time, there's a balance between that. I don't want people to feel like just because they trade, it's like a slot machine, because that's not what's going on here.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But there is this idea to where I have a skill set that allows me to generate money and I don't have to go through these other intermediaries to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and I think I've noticed that a lot while I've been on YouTube is people kind of asking permission to the next part of their life. And I'm like, It's when you decide you're ready. There's nobody in here that can give you permission. So one of the things I saw is gold futures synced in post-election trade. Is there a reason why that is, or just people think because Trump's going to come in, that's going to be different?
I don't know if there's a specific reason. I know a lot of people were shorting gold. Gold had gone up. I think one of the biggest reasons is the fact that the belief is that the dollar is going to continue to, the belief is that the dollar is going to get stronger over time. So a lot of times what we see is there's sometimes an inverse relationship between the strength of the dollar and the gold market, where people believe that the dollar is going to get weaker. They're looking to put money into gold. And if they believe the reverse, they're looking to take money out of gold.
Right.
So what we're looking for is whether or not Trump's policies are going to continue to strengthen the dollar or his policies are going to maybe weaken the dollar, maybe just stay neutral. And that can also determine where the gold market go. But the gold market over the past few years has had a really, really strong run up. So eventually people will start looking to take profit out of there.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So one of the things I've noticed is you've talked a lot about swing trading, possibly. I may be using it incorrect. You could help me. And before I go deeper into that, I'm going to read this, and then I'll get back to the swing trade question. Thank you, Goddess Noel, for the Dave, do you think reading Investors Business Daily would be a good place to start as a novice?
Definitely. It's a good publication. I think reading any financial publication is a great place to start because, again, you know, we just came out of an election cycle.
Right.
If you was reading the financial publications, the news they were given during the election cycle was totally different than the mainstream news. And so what I want to really encourage people to do is really start changing their conversation. And by changing their conversation, they start looking at the world differently, as opposed to just kind of being on what everybody else is on, because you talked about earlier, average person is making around $35,000 a year.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with the information that they're exposed to. They may not know how to make more money. Then they may not know what's a legitimate way where they can make more money based on what they're involved in. And a lot of it has to do with the information that is put in front of their face. Right. So I think if you're going to read Investor Business Daily, I think that's a great publication to start with. Read that for 30 minutes every day for 6 months and then just take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, today Fed cut rates again.
Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't see even people talking about it. You know, they weren't even talking about it. I said, no one paid attention to that. No one, you know, but again, that just shows you what's on the average person's mind. They're still on Trump, talking about Trump. And I'm okay with that. I understand that. but I want people to not miss out, because every couple of years we hear the same conversation. This is the greatest wealth transfer ever.
Yeah.
We just got gentrified out of our neighborhoods. Oh, but there was this whole craze of wholesaling, and we were selling all the cheap stuff, but not building, not investing, not being able to put any boots in the ground. And so I don't want to come again here where there's a bull run.
Exactly.
Trump's back in, and we're still sitting on the sidelines like, oh, I'm so mad about Trump. I'm like, no. Tune in, tap in. This is the time to tap in here. So that's something I want to bring up. But okay, you guys are chatty tonight. I love it. So I appreciate you introducing me to the main man here, Erica. You're the bomb. Thank you so much. Full of grace and truth. Thank you, Ray Gunn. Good evening, class turner stock market sharks. I'm paying attention to the markets. Congratulations. Okay, it's a big one. Let me read it.
Okay.
Kevin R Theodore, thank you for the $10 super chat. Because of the incoming migrants coming in construction, financial, and trade skills, it seems like the only space for African Americans to raise their financial status will be in trading and investing. Please share your thoughts on that.
I mean, that's his opinion. I don't think it's an either or. Mm-hmm. Right. I think it's a situation to where once you learn more about the markets, mm-hmm. you can understand more about construction, financial, and trades.
Right.
Right. So I just think because those like construction mm-hmm. is financed, especially commercial. Yeah. So you start to understand, once you understand the markets, you understand more about that particular space, and you start looking at commercial tickers and what mm-hmm. are they talking about, and how is money moving in and out of these particular tickers? How are they forecasting? One big commercial tickers, I think a BLDR that does mm-hmm. a lot of commercial. Like, how are they forecasting going out in 2025, 2026? So I don't think it's an either or. Mm-hmm. I think it's a combination of everything together. But what we're looking at now is that we're not in the financial trading or investing space pretty much at all. And I think we're missing out.
For sure. Something I did that was kind of, I guess I would call lazy, but at the time what I looked for is, I was like, I kept seeing a couple companies' names in Austin. So I'm driving down the hill and I'm like, I keep seeing that name. I look up, of course, they have a whole stock. They're on the stock market. Yeah. I think it's just being alert and doing a quick Google search for a lot of this stuff. Just like, why is that company here? Where's the building? Who's the company that owns them? And they sound like small, minor research. But I was able to invest in one of these natural gas companies that's right here in Austin, Texas. Okay. That's been doing big money. They got big contracts. And I think I got in at $19 and it's been sitting at $25 ever since or whatever.
Okay, good deal.
And I think a lot of times we are overcomplicating things. There's always going to be room for us in construction.
Yeah.
If you're skilled, you're licensed, there's always room. If you same way if you're skilled in investing, there's still always going to be a place for you guys, right? What's that thing you've been saying lately that cracks me up is like, get the skills or take the deal.
Get the skills or take the deal, definitely.
I saw this person taking this deal, and I said, "Hey, man, they done told you what time it is." So let me see here. JP isn't leaving this post until he's done. Listen, Jerome Powell got a very black name. I want to go check out his grandparents. And don't send me no black and white pictures. I love when they do that. Here's a black and white picture of my parents. Nah, give me some color photos.
Yeah.
You have to keep an eye out if Trump passed that 60% tariff on China. That could impact consumers if unemployment goes up.
Yeah.
I think I've been very clear on that. I think they're going to throw a bunch of stuff in Mexico. Okay. If you haven't been watching the news on Mexico, they've been building all kind of factories in Mexico. I think they already knew that was going to be our play. And they was ready for it. Yeah. And they need to save themselves some money. Like, if we sit it over here in Mexico, whenever y'all ready to buy it, less transport costs. Yeah. So we got a little testimonial here. If one of y'all definitely would take a screenshot of this for me, I'd highly appreciate it. I respect it. Thank you for helping us out. Let me fix my face before you take a picture. There you go. All right. So listen, after taking Dave's course, I was able to pull out $32,000. Y'all, if you need a loan, here he is. He give you out a loan. Now, $32,000 out of the market. I had to convince myself not to quit my job. Dave's class and Discord will get you right. You guys, I mean, again, I always ask all my students to give testimonials, share your wins with people because you don't know who lives you're changing. Yeah. $32,000 is somebody's annual income.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really the goal, what Mr. Bass has been able to do. So he's over the 20,000. Mm-hmm. But really, we knew that there was a whole segment of the market to where nobody was having these conversations with them. Mm-hmm. And actually trying to make sure that they get the proper education, they get the proper support. So it's something that I'm just really passionate about because I know that, and this is something I tell people all the time. New York Stock Exchange probably got a market cap of probably now almost $100 trillion. You and I, Erica, we together as a team, we could pull this, let's say 2025, we could probably pull 40, 50 million out of that market. And it's an accounting error. Like nobody's going to even notice it. So what I want people to understand is that there's so much money in that marketplace. You can pull out money and they're not going to be trying to stop you from pulling out because that's not enough money for them to even pay attention to. Where in other places, let's say your job, if you try to figure out how to get your job to pay you an extra 30,000, you may have to quit and go get another job because they just they don't want to give it to you because it's not in the budget. So what I just wanted people to really understand is that once you learn the skill, there's so much money in these markets that you can pull out money that can be beneficial to you. And it's not as if people are going to try to oppose you from doing it. Yes, ma'am.
So, some people are like, options are scary.
Okay.
Or they don't understand the difference between swing trading. Is there a definition you could kind of give of swing trading first and then of options second?
Yeah. So I would consider swing trading, for me, I'm looking at a swing trade definitely over 30 days, maybe to 6 months. So let's say 30 days or 6 months will be the length of the trade that I'm anticipating staying in the trade before I exit. Right. Anything past that, I would consider that a leap trade. That's because I'm an options trader. Some people may consider a swing trade anything under them getting ready to retire. So they may call a swing trade, 15 years. Right. Because, so you just got to it kind of depends on their time frame. But I would say anything over 30 days and maybe to 6 months, kind of the way I trade. You said the definition of options. Is that what you asked? Yes. What an option is it's a derivative of a stock. So we have the stock as what we would call the primary asset or the primary instrument. The option is going to be derived from that particular stock, right? And so essentially what it is, it's a way for people essentially to insure against the movement of the actual primary instrument, which is going to be the stock. And the way options really function, the way we trade them, is essentially what we're trading our insurance policies. People want to be insured against the move of the stock, either for or against them. So very similar to what people buy house insurance just in case something goes wrong, car insurance just something goes wrong. We're buying the insurance policies with the goal of selling them back in the market because what they do is as movement of the stock takes place, the value of those particular options contracts appreciates. So what we're doing is we're selling those contracts back into the market based on the movement of the stock.
Okay. So this is why people say you can get into options cheaper than you could a regular stock.
Yeah, so the reason why I like options because they're leveraged.
Gotcha.
So what I'm saying about leverage is that I can get a multiple of return on the contract as opposed to with a stock where stock return normally is going to be what I call binary. So with a stock, you can normally get, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1. With an option, you can get 60, 70, 80% return on your money in a relatively short amount of time.
Okay, now.
And even with a 30 to 6 month return. Now you got some outliers. Tesla's gone crazy.
Yeah.
Nvidia's gone super crazy over the past 2 to 3 years.
Crackhead crazy.
Exactly. But with most stocks, even if you're trading the stock, a good return is 30% over 5 years. That's a great return on the stock.
Okay.
It just is. So you got to realize, because if you're looking at maybe what you're looking when you're investing in individual stocks is you just want to outperform on a year to year the overall market, which is like 7-8%. So 8 times 4 is 32. I want to just outperform that 32% over a 4-year period if I'm buying an individual stock. So with an individual stock, if I return 35 to 40%, I've had a great return because I'm able to compensate myself for the risk and get that return out of the stock. Well, with options, you can get 30% in a day. So then if you size it up differently, you can pull out that same amount of money in the market that you could with just an individual equity stock.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's somebody somewhere that's going to message me and go 30%.
Yeah.
Because all they've been taught from the bank is 2%, maybe 5% in the 80s. Your grandma had, 10% in the 80s if she had some bank CDs, people bought houses at 8% in the 80s and 90s, right? So when they hear 30%, what is something you could do to kind of educate or relieve fears of that? Because I know people who are going to be like, that's a lot. That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, so what we're doing is first off, we're talking about acceptable rate of returns on capital. We're looking to make sure that the return is in line with the risk that we're taking. Right. So, example, you put money in the bank, you're taking very little to no risk, so you get compensated for the risk that you're not taking. Right. They're going to give you 1%, 2%. People call them high yield savings return, 4 to 4.5 to 5% on the yearly, but you're getting compensated for the risk that you're not taking, right? Gotcha. You buy a treasury, you're going to get 4 to 5%. Those are guaranteed. You're getting compensated for the risk that you're not taking. With options, we're taking on more risk. So what we're telling the market is that you need to compensate us for the risk that we're taking, right? So once we learn the skill, we feel more confident about taking on the risk and getting those returns. But we also understand, unless we believe we can get those returns, it doesn't make sense to take that type of risk. Okay. So sometimes as a trader, it does make sense for me to just put my money in cash because I don't see an opportunity that exists that'll justify the risk that I'm taking. But I think we have to get more, I would say, I don't want to say the term accustomed, but we have to feel a little bit better about generating returns on capital that maybe are outside of what we've been exposed to. Because I look at all different type of markets and I see how people are willing to, like last night I was looking at private credit, see how people are willing to put their money in different places because the returns definitely in the bank that they're looking to get, those are just unacceptable returns to them.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's very low, especially if you're in a person who's getting ready to retire.
Exactly.
If you're a baby boomer who's 60, you have two sets of baby boomers, 60 to 69 and 70 to 79. You know, I need more than a couple percent. I need some real change. I knew somebody was going to bring this up. Anyway, I heard they got something planned to stop them. They saying 40 monkeys escaped the lab today down south. Well, guess what? If 40 monkeys escaped the lab, I really want to be in the house trading stock. I don't want to be outside. I'll make sure my kid can stay inside too. Just this September, I was able to get an Nvidia call contract at strike price 110. Leap expires March 2020. I'm at 2025. Sorry, you guys. Thanks, Dave. All right.
Good deal on Nvidia. I own Nvidia though.
You just said I'm holding.
Yeah, I own it. Yeah, I own
that. I'm holding on. Because Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Is also. I mean, she holding on. Get the skill to say Trump is putting tariffs on goods coming out of Mexico.
Exactly.
Even so, it's going to be cheaper than the tariffs coming from China.
Yeah.
If you think about it, even if I have something in Mexico or Canada, you know, last time when we got smart with Canada, they just sent the wood along the borderline. I don't know if y'all remember that, but they had like lumber at a lumber yard where the railroad track goes across from America to them.
Okay.
And just had that lumber just lined up in our face for a mile long. I said, Canada know how to play.
I feel
they ain't worried about it.
Yeah, when I was a kid, the skateboards used to get made in Canada.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Up to 70% a year to date. I'm making my exit plans now. Congratulations.
Yeah, and Miss Alexander's somebody that stuck with the program, so big up to her. I remember when she took the course. She's one of the first people I taught the course to back when I was teaching it live one-on-one. So I appreciate her for sticking with it. And she told me she was going to stick with it. So I appreciate her for sticking with it because, again, the goal is not only for her to get it, but for her to get it and then expose her people to the same situation.
Got you.
Yeah.
1 equals 10.
Exactly.
And I tell you all the time, like, you have that one aunt that's a nurse. Now everybody want a family to be a nurse. One family member that's a truck driver. Now everybody want to be a truck driver. It's one person in the military. Everybody want to be in the military, right? So yeah, it's all exposure. You can pay back the price of Mr. Williams' course when you get good at trading.
Definitely.
There are a few different classes on Mr. Dave's website for beginner option traders. Which class do you recommend? If you see the link, Diamond Dave, go ahead. You explain.
Okay, so go ahead. So we got the links up there. They're for 3 options courses, right? So off the table, if you're a beginner, the IPO course is not going to be for you. If you've never traded before, leave the IPO course alone. That's for people that already know how to trade, that are looking for something that we call an edge. Both courses are good for beginners because they walk you up from beginner to a higher level, right? But it just depends on how much material do you want. The VIP course comes with more material. It also, at this current time, comes with consulting hours. Those hours are going to go away probably first quarter 2025. It also comes with a mindset coach. So what we did was we tried to create a total full, I would say, wall-to-wall program to put you in the best position to be successful as a trader. The core course still is more value than what you would pay for up front. You still get a large amount of classes. You still get 1 consulting hour. You don't get the mindset coaching, and it's not the extent of classes. But regardless of which program you buy, you still get the Discord. You still get the twice a month live talks. You still get the community. So what I would encourage you to do is just ask yourself, how much material do I want up front? But am I committed to sticking with the program? Because we always give people more value than what they pay us for.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we've always done. That's our brand in this particular market. We've always given people more value than what they paid us for. But I want to encourage you to get in now, because in 2025, we're going to kind of adjust the business model because we've been given a lot of time that we necessarily don't get compensated with. So we got to kind of adjust that a little bit going into 2025.
For sure. Yeah. I hope that answered your questions. I also keep putting the links inside the chat. Also, if you're in our email list, you will also receive this email at some point tonight, tomorrow, and for the rest of the month of November. I really want y'all to be ahead, not behind. There comes this thing where we're thinking, well, you know, it is Thanksgiving. They already, after Halloween, I already know how most people are. It's Thanksgiving. Exactly. It's Christmas. You got 8 weeks to go hard. Learning, training, educating yourself. You know, daylight saving happens and everybody come home at 5:30, right? We'll put that 5:30 to 7:30. If you already got dinner in the crock pot or in the oven, you can be studying. Yeah. You can be educating yourself. And so I don't want you guys to make excuses because of daylight savings. And I don't want you to wait to January, because now January's up. New year, new you, new noise, new distractions. Donald Trump getting signed in, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Now I need to study. You need to study today.
Yeah. And so let me say something real quick, Eric, to speak to that. For a lot of the people, and I'm not trying to turn this political, but for a lot of the people to where you listen to a lot of channels that were anti-Trump, that's all they're going to feed you once this guy gets inaugurated. The question I want to tell you is how is that going to benefit you? Because it's the guy's in now. So what I want people to understand is like, how can you improve your personal situation of your group, as opposed to getting caught up in what they did the first time they got elected by telling they was getting ready to impeach him, which never happened because it wasn't going to happen. And then you spend 4 years on this hamster wheel. And then when he leaves in 2029, 2029. Yeah, exactly. You still in the same situation or worse situation. So I just want to really encourage people, don't get caught into this rabbit hole of, you know, we're going to oppose everything this guy has done. He won fair and square. He lost, sat out 4 years, came back and won. What that means is that he was supposed to win. Yeah, landslide. That's how it goes. He was supposed to win because he sat out for 4 years, came back, still won. So he was supposed to win. So even if you don't like it, whatever, just try to figure out how can you transition to your next situation, as opposed to letting people hamster wheel you around this and you don't do anything over the next 4 years.
I love it. Gosh, so I said, we see you, Mr. Bass. Okay, Mr. Bass. Yeah. Hide your kids, hide your car, hide your phone. No. I have a ticker. I buy and sell every 90 days and get 30% per quarter. Come on now. Look at her. Give out the sauce. I see you. I appreciate that. Well, that's technically a swing trade, correct?
Exactly.
That's why I'm just trying to get people to understand, because that's the number one question I got. I think we got our replies for what is a swing trade, what is an option trade, was the number two one.
And that's a really good swing trade, because you see sizes that up. We talk about 30. We talk about 30%. You know, 30% is 30% regardless of the size of the trade. Right. Yeah,
I love that. Definitely pay attention to Bitcoin and cryptos these next few years. So here's my thing, Yayo Don. I agree with all that. I am also a person who's educating myself in that area. But I will tell you, number one, we already have stuff in place, right? Yeah. We always want to go find the new, interesting, hot market stuff. Start with the actual financial markets we got, right? Yeah. I always call it new world versus old world, right? Everybody used to want to move to New York and LA to make it big. And now it's like, what's the new horizon? Texas, Florida, Arizona, Atlanta, move to the new spot. And that can be viable, but I think it's best to actually learn, just educate yourself up to snuff about what's going on in the current markets.
Yeah, fair. Right? Big up to Ray Gun.
Thank you so much, Ray Gun. Mash up the like button. Yes, please mash it up. I bought 4 shares of Boo. I'm accumulating and holding mine.
Okay, keep going.
Man, I don't know how you say that, man.
Yes, man. Yeah, keep doing your thing. You gotta always start somewhere, just stay consistent.
Okay, you guys, again, I kept putting in, I think that's the beginner's course. I just kept putting in, all the links will be inside here, also in the description once this renders, and pinned to the top comments. The Federal Reserve cuts interest rates by 25 BPS. It's already priced in, for sure. Okay. I'm holding on to 5 stocks myself. Good to see streams such as this. I'm glad you guys are enjoying. I'm coming. I see y'all got a lot in here. 8 weeks. a rate cut today and another one in December.
Yeah, they got another one scheduled for December. So let's see how we end out the year. And let's see what they do in Miss Alexander, what they do in 2025 with the rate cuts. But I think that they're going to continue to just keep cutting until unless inflation shows back up. And we just got to kind of see how it plays out. But I think we kind of know what the forecast is going to be going into the end of the year. So I was talking earlier about, I just think the market's going to keep running up towards the end of the year, because everybody's going to try to get their money out before they get into 2025, and they're going to kind of play it by ear.
Okay.
But I think people are going to try to end this quarter real strong. Now, you never know what can happen, but I think that's the goal.
Okay. We got some good questions coming up here. If you study for about 2 to 4 hours a night, week roughly, how soon can you make your first trade?
Okay, so
it's multiple questions. So let me start with the first one, and then we'll read the rest of it.
So this is the thing, A. Evans. I would encourage you to so this is what I tell people when they take the course. I say, go through the course 3 times, right? So it's not about 2 to 4 hours a night. And it's not about, I need to do this to get to this. What I would encourage you to do is get the education till you're comfortable trading. And one thing we teach people to do is paper trade. So I encourage people to trade without any money, to learn their style, to learn their system, to understand what they're doing before they start putting money in the market. So, hey, Evans, what I would encourage you to do is not think about how soon I can make my first trade, is to think about, what do I need to do to get comfortable in the market to make profitable, good trades? And whatever time frame that's going to be is a time frame that's going to be, because everybody's journey is going to be different, right? Second question. My program doesn't allow or disallow.
I was gonna read it to you. Okay. It's for the clip. It's for the clip. My bad. Also, Dame, does your program allow practice trades before you make a real trade?
Okay, that's a great question, Evans. So it's not about my program allowing or disallowing. What I encourage people to do is do something we call paper trading. And what I mean by that is that if you believe that there's a certain trade that you want to make, trade that synthetically before you actually start putting real money in the market. So I'm not standing in the way of you making any trades. You're going to do that through a brokerage account. Some brokerage accounts have what we call paper trade programs that are electronic, but you also can paper trade with pen and a piece of paper. But what I want to really encourage you to do is get your style down, get down how you see the market, get your narrative and your analysis down before you start putting money in the market. These markets are not going anywhere. They're going to be here when we're dead. They were here before we were born. We're dead. They're going to still be here, right? So there's no rush. What the mistake most people make is they're looking to get a 60-day turnaround. And then when they don't get the 60-day turnaround, they go to something else. And the problem is that everybody that speaks to you about their success in the course, they're successful because they stuck to the program. They didn't jump around, and we haven't jumped around. So I would just encourage you to stay with it. I'm going to stay with it. So if you stick with it, I believe you can be successful.
You know, the craziest thing is I hear people all the time say, man, I was messing around stock market 2020 and then I stopped. I should have stuck with it, because then now I'd be up. And I go,
exactly.
This is true. This is true. How does this help my personal situation? That's how y'all should look at almost all the news right now. You know, I'm not going to get too caught up emotionally. How does this help my personal situation? What do I know this is going to do? I still know for the next 5 to 10 years, people are going to keep moving to Texas and Florida. It's like when people moved somewhere in the 90s. Everybody wanted to move to Atlanta. Well, Atlanta's full now. So where they going? I'm gonna go to Charlotte. Where else can you go? I'm gonna go to Florida, right? So it's you know, I'm just paying attention to a lot of stuff. I love banking, cybersecurity stocks.
Yeah, Pascal big on them cybersecurity stocks.
All right, thank y'all so much for the super chats. We're gonna read them off here. Nita Gentris, $20 super chat. How much do you suggest is a good initial investment in the stock market as a beginner?
So it's a great question, Ms. Gentris. So I can't give financial advice. What I would encourage you to do is figure out how much money can you invest comfortably and how much money can you invest on a consistent basis. Right now, you can reach out to your brokerage. You can ask them, can you buy fractionals into the indexes? And if you can buy fractionals, when I say fractionals, let's say to invest in an index, it costs $300. You may not have to pay the full $300. You may just pay a percentage of it. Can you pay that out consistently over time? And because about investing, especially long-term investing, we're not talking about trading, but long-term investing is about consistency. So if I can invest X amount every pay period, the benefit is over time as opposed to trying to get a quick return, right? So it's not about a certain amount, it's about consistency, because as you make more money as you get older, you can also invest more money into the market.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of older people, we thinking older people are just sitting at home watching Matlock and in the heat of the night. And that's our grandparents. These younger grandmas right now, they doing all kind of stuff. They running businesses, yeah. They're educating themselves. There was this guy keeps posting, if you're over 50, start a YouTube channel. And there's a ton of seasoned older folks who are have time on their hands to share great knowledge. And so I want you to understand, this is like a long-term skill, not a short-term skill.
It's definitely not. It's a skill. I have a uncle who is in his 80s. He's not 80s, 80 now, like 79, 80 years old. He trades. And he was trading way back in the day, before there was even like really computers and stuff.
He was like whippersnapper.
Exactly. The skill doesn't go away. As long as you still have your mind, you can trade. It's going to get easier and easier over time because of technology. So as long as you still got your mind, you can still trade.
For sure. And you don't have to be, I heard this guy essentially say he had to move back home to take care of family. He had to be closer because it just costs too much care and all sorts of. And I'm like, okay, you care for your mom in the afternoons. What you gonna do in the morning?
Exactly. You
don't have to be stuck with a job you don't like in a town you don't like, just to kind of help with your family. This gives you opportunity to make excess cash. So thank you, B Field Trade for $20 super chat. I don't know if that's supposed to be a cigarette in the mouth or what it is on your thumbnail picture, but that's funny. Thank you for the cash app. I'm going to send this question to Diamond Dave, I guess, because that's who's running the co-host of the show here. Do you think they will overbuild single family houses?
No, I don't think so. I think we have at least in the areas that I'm at, there's a shortage of homes. I don't think the builders and they've talked about this over the past 3 to 4 years. They're not in any rush to do a massive building because they got caught with that during that big real estate crisis we had 07, 08. They say they're not going to fall for that a second time, and they don't have to. So I don't think there's going to be any overbuilding. I think we're going to have to work with the capacity that's out there now and just see how it plays out. But I don't think the builders are in any rush to build greater than the demand that's currently out there. And why would they? I would not destroy my market for any reason. If I know that there's a lot of demand in my market, I'm going to build up to that demand, make sure I can meet it. But I'm not going to overbuild and have surplus of homes.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I don't think you understand, like, the average construction guy is in his 60s.
Yeah.
There ain't going to be no overbuilding. We can't, physically it can't happen. Numbers wise, it can't happen. Funding wise, it can't happen. You're going to have a lot of older houses people have to retrofit. And I don't think people understand that. I typically do 50 to 100 paper trades before I live trade. Woo!
Good deal.
That's a lot.
That's how you do it.
That's how you learn. He said I'm Palantir. 50% up. I'm Palantir. I'm not a trader myself. I'm buying now for 2030.
Okay.
Thinkorswim has paper trading platform. Okay. Webull also has paper trading. Y'all guys are sharing what has paper trading. Okay, this is for you.
Okay.
What's your opinion on penny stocks?
Okay, so great question. Infinity Entity. I really don't trade them because they don't have a lot of options, right? So most penny stocks don't have options accessible. I really don't trade them. The first person I taught how to trade, I helped her escape out of penny stock land. What I don't like a lot about a lot of the penny stocks is that so here's something I do like about them. What I don't like about them is that they attract a lot of novice traders who don't know how to trade. And what they often do is they churn their money in the penny stock space, and then they run out of money and then they leave. What I do like about them is once you learn how to trade, you can go in there and be successful because why? You're trading against a lot of novice traders. So what I would encourage somebody to do is actually learn how to trade first, then go back into penny stock land. And then there's going to be a disparity against the competition that you're facing because you're going to be facing a lot of people that don't know how to trade. And you'll learn a lot of the tricks that they play. In a penny stock land, you get a lot of pump and dump schemes. I would tell people to watch out for that because here's the thing. If I'm looking at a ticker that costs 25 cents and I have $30,000, I can buy it, then tell my group to buy it. They run it up. While they're running it up, I'm exiting. I'm using them as exit liquidity, right? While they're coming in, I'm leaving. They're bringing it up. I'm leaving while they're coming in. Until you kind of understand how to trade, you won't see the characteristics of that type of stuff happening. So one of the things about the penny stock space is it attracts a lot of novice traders because of the cost of getting into those markets is so low. But the problem is that they're novice traders and they're often being manipulated by people like myself. And I don't mean like me, people that are experienced, that are saying we're going to do something nefarious to these traders as opposed to teaching people how to trade properly.
You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you, I see more questions. I'm going to get to you guys' questions. I'm not going to keep him here all night, but I do want to ask this. People want to be spoon-fed trades, or they have watch lists. Yeah. So I was in this guy's group and I was looking at the watch list and I'm like, well, why are you picking this? Is this for us to jump in on this after you done jumped in on it? Like, what is immediately my spidey sense went off and everybody's like, no, he's helping us. And I just want to know, what is your take on people feeding people watch lists or feeding them what you think are trades?
I mean, you just got to be careful. Like, so this is the issue we talked about with the penny stocks. Mm-hmm. So one of the things you got to look at in the market is what we call liquidity. Mm-hmm. And the question is how much money is in that market. So I know a really good trader. He teaches people how to trade the SPY. And because the SPY is so liquid, you don't have to worry about her pumping it on you. Because the SPY is so liquid, there's millions and millions and millions of trading volume per day on what we call the SPY index. Mm-hmm. But when we're looking at individualized tickers, my question is, what is the liquidity on that particular ticker? Because again, is the person that's telling me that using me for exit liquidity? Mm-hmm. So what I mean is that they bought it first, then they present it to me. Then as I buy, I run it up and they exit at the same time. Because one thing you learn as a trader a lot of times is that you want to sell into strength. So mm-hmm. as it's moving up, we want to be selling out. And we want to buy into weakness. So when it's low, that's when we want to buy in. Mm-hmm. So I would always question, what is the liquidity on this particular ticker? And then do I have to be worried about me buying in after and this person using me to exit? Okay. Or are they looking to hold it long term and they're just giving me a heads up on it because they think it's a good stock and they're looking to hold it long term? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that. So we don't want no more people in Charlotte. I apologize, but guess what? They coming. I drove through there the other day. I was like, what in the world? Dollar cost averaging, the same amount invested every month. Keep buying. Yeah. All right. Question here by Alexandra Wilson. I'm sorry if it's a her or he. My apologies. Dave, when you said trade, are you talking about equity or options?
It really doesn't matter. You can trade equity, you can trade options. Mm-hmm. The instrument is different, but a lot of times the perspective and the way we're looking at the particular ticker is going to be the same. The returns can be a little bit different. But when I'm talking about trade, it can be equity or options. So I really specialize in options trading, but I also understand how to trade equity too, because my analysis of the particular ticker in the market is going to be the same. Then I just have to look at that specific instrument and to kind of understand how it's priced.
Okay. Dave said, plug me in with a good tax CPA, cause them taxes ain't no joke. Trying to keep some of this money.
Okay, you got to make sure you got to form a business around what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Jamal Stroman, when trading, are you competing against professional traders?
Yeah, definitely. So it depends on what you're trading, right? So when you're trading, pretty much any equity has like over a certain amount of volume. Yeah, you're competing against not only professional traders, you're competing against funds, right? But that doesn't have anything to do with what you're doing. Because again, the money that you're looking to pull out of the market, that's not enough money to get their attention.
At all.
Right. So you got to really understand that. Like, you know, when you're trading the SPY and JP Morgan and Goldman and BlackRock and State Street are also on the SPY, if you pull 100,000 out of the SPY, they won't even look at a deal for $100,000. Mm-hmm. That's not enough to put their team, like they can't put their team together to analyze a deal that's $100,000. So they're not really in opposition to you. They're really in opposition to each other. So yes, there are professional traders in the market, but when the money that I'm looking to pull out is not as if I'm in direct opposition to those people. But also what I don't do is I don't fight trends. Mm-hmm. So if I see that all the money's moving a certain way like today, I'm not looking to go against it because I see all the big money moving in one direction. So you just got to kind of understand what position or what role do you play in this overall market, but you're not directly competing against these people. Now, let me give you a caveat to it. If you go to, again, the penny stocks, you're competing against amateur traders, right? So it could be easier for you, but you still got to learn how to trade. And I think it's difficult to learn how to trade in the penny stock space because why? so many people don't know how to trade, you don't get exposed to really good traders. Yeah.
Part of this too, I want y'all to understand, like, if y'all pull $1 million out of stock market this year, there are people that won't even get out the bed for that.
Exactly. Like for real, for real.
For real. Like the show Diamond Dave recommend industry. It's a little wild. It's a little racy.
Yeah,
but there was the young black lady, and it was going up 80,000. It was like 30,000, 80,000, 90,000. He was like, take the trade, take it now. And she like, I'm gonna hold on, you know, and then of course it went, reversed on her, you know what I'm saying? And it was like 150,000. And they just looked at her like, when she eventually did tell it to her boss, he was like, and like, that won't no money. He's like, we're gonna go find that money. All right. Yeah. When they're talking to those clients in London, and this is why it's important that the show's in London, you're really just managing people's money.
Yeah.
A lot of London has a lot of lower class and management positions. There's a reason we always say America's like the new world, because you can come here and create new wealth. In London and a lot of these places, it's so expensive, break your leg expensive, that you're really just positions are either management positions or lower, class positions. There's a lot of slums, a lot of Section 8 going on over there. And what we consider Section 8, and I don't think people understand that. So her just trading and losing 150,000, they were just like, and next, she out there about to faint and have a panic attack, and he's like, okay, anyway, keep it moving. That ain't no money. And so I want y'all to get bigger perspective. Like, if you lose 30,000, yes, that'd be devastating. But if you're taking his class, you're educating yourself, you're in the Discord group, you shouldn't be putting yourself in such a risky position to lose or to like, I'm just going to gamble. I don't want you guys looking at this as a gamble. I want you to look at this as a way of life, because when we're in New York and we were in the financial district, it's a way of life. Okay. It was real quiet on the street from about 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the financial district. 11 o'clock happened, everybody was out eating lunch. It was crazy. I said they was in there and out of there. Suits and ties everywhere, all around the financial district where we're at. So it's a way of life. SPY, NAS, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on, and US 30 usually take a dip after election bull run.
Okay.
Kind of like spring 2021. Do you think that may happen spring 2025?
Okay, Scam Likely shows. That's a great question. So I would know, because I haven't seen that on the chart. So if that's your technical analysis, I would just say to trust your analysis. I haven't really looked at those particular tickers because I don't trade the SPX or the US 30. But if that's your technical analysis, they normally take a dip after the election bull run, kind of like spring 2021. I would tell you to trust your technical analysis. Know your levels, know what you're looking at, and just trust your analysis. And then make sure that we talked about with the earlier question, make sure that you have risk management to where if I take a trade in that particular space, I can get out if it goes against me.
For sure. We also have here, they're so glad to catch a live. Thank you so much. Anthony Russell said, are you trading futures markets? I used to work on the floor at the Merck. I think that's the Merck in Chicago.
Definitely. Yeah. So great question, Anthony Russell. So I don't trade futures. One of the reasons why I stayed out of futures and I don't teach it is because a lot of times the amount of money that you got to put up to trade futures. So trading futures historically going to be trading on what we call a margin, which means that you're loaning money from the brokers to trade. And often what they make you do is they make you put up a certain amount of money to get access to their money. So one of the reasons why I didn't teach futures is because I wanted to figure out how to get more people in. And one of the reasons what stops a lot of people getting into futures trading is the fact that you got to put a certain amount of money in your account to get the margin established, right? To be able to trade futures. And another thing about futures is why I didn't want to teach it to people is your losses can be unlimited. When you're trading options, all you can lose is the amount of the contract.
Okay.
When you're trading futures, your losses can go unlimited if you don't understand how to set really good stop losses. So the futures market is not a market. Got just earlier question about playing professionals. Like the futures market is not a market for like people that don't know what they're doing. It's just not. So I would encourage people to kind of maybe get some market cycles up under them. Then maybe go into markets like futures that are really, really sophisticated markets. Because it's just, you got to kind of learn what you're doing before you go into those spaces, because again, your losses can be unlimited in futures and you're trading on margin.
Right. Yeah. One of the big things, I enjoyed your commentary on GameStop, but I love the Money Dumb Money, the movie where they were, but the second, when you're talking about professional traders, someone said here about the professional traders, the second time around, the little run up GameStop just had again, those were big capital firms going against each other.
Yeah.
They even showed it was institutional investors. It wasn't like mom and pop people anymore. You know what I mean? The mom and pop people did the big run up the first time. That's how you know that, they done caught on to the trick. They're moving it around. But I saw this. It said, thank you so much. There is so much money on the sideline that has to come back into the market before the end of the year.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Okay. Thank you, Dave, for the show tonight. Great show.
Appreciate it, man.
Don't let nobody use this extra little bit liquidity.
Yeah.
And so, Dave, this is the first of our series that we're doing, but there's so many great questions that some of you guys have submitted that we're going to save for the next video. I just want to encourage you to check out the opportunities people have, because they may not always hang out like this or be available to me, as they get rich and famous. Okay. So, or you might just want to take a break and be like, peace out. I'm going to be snowboarding and trading. I'm out for the spring. What are some things you could do? I'm going to let this last question go and then I'm going to wrap it up. Okay. Here we go. Can you trade options on NASDAQ futures?
So Tone 123081. I'm not a futures trader. So I would encourage you to probably reach out to a futures platform and ask them, and they would be able to give you a lot more information. I really don't trade futures. I don't teach it. I talked about that earlier. Why I don't teach it. I think futures are for people that are very experienced. And those are the people that I've seen have a lot of success also, because you're trading on a margin. I'm not a fan of bringing novices into a space where they have to trade on a loan and the losses can be unlimited.
Right.
Yeah.
A big thing I want y'all to take away from this class today is like, start slow. Start slow. Educate yourself. Submerge yourself in the information. This is one of many series we're gonna do here on this channel, because I think the wealth of knowledge he has, I can't fit all in one show, and there's constantly things going on. But so as we leave and we see the red wave came, Kamala's going to be somewhere with her husband and her stepchildren with a nice check for the rest of her life and security for the rest of her life. She's good. Like, I think y'all missed that part. She's going to be good.
Yeah.
What can you do in this time to put yourself in a better financial situation? And Diamond Dave, for the next 8 weeks we got left in this year, I think people can make major gains. And so that's why I'm glad you came on for Financial November. What are some places people can find you, reach out to you, connect with you if they have questions about the course? What are some things they can do here for you?
So you can reach out. I'm on YouTube, Diamond Dave, YouTube. Anytime Erica goes live, I'm normally in her chat, talking to people in the chat, making sure I'm around. Also Instagram, Diamond_David Williams. So those are the two platforms that I can be reached out to. I live stream normally twice a week, sometimes more than that, but normally twice a week. So I would encourage you to tap into the channel. There's over 1,000 videos on my channel. There's probably over maybe 250 options training videos. So if you don't ever buy anything from me, I want to do business with you. But even if you don't, there's a lot of free education on my channel, because I'm very passionate about getting people this understanding, getting people this education, so they don't feel trapped in a lot of these spaces, and so they don't miss out. Because again, I'm going to say this again. They're going to try to keep you on the hook with disappointment and being disgruntled for a lot of us. I'm talking to Black folks right now, right? Not trying to be racist, but I'm just talking to Black people real quick. You can't fall in victim to that, because it's not going to change anything. So what I don't want you to do is miss out on 4 years of whatever. Because one thing about trading, I know how to make money when the market goes up, the market goes down.
There you go.
So it don't matter to me. The question is just how can I position myself? But what I don't want you to do is get caught up in what they did the last time Trump got elected, and then put you on this hamster wheel of people being upset and disgruntled and fear factor, and you miss out on opportunity.
Right.
Because by the time he gets out, it'll be closer to the end of the decade. So then the question is, now we're starting a whole brand new decade, and many people would have not have done anything since the pandemic. I don't want you to be in that position. So I just want to encourage you to not fall for the okie doke, because many of these people, they don't have anything to offer you except you should be mad about something.
And they'll find something new to be mad about.
Exactly.
Even with him in, they'll find something new to be mad about. I promise. So we had a lot of great super chats today. I'm just going to get some quick shout outs. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Again, thank you, B-Field Trades. Thank you, Nita Gracious. I'm sorry, y'all. Thank you, Kevin R Theodore. Thank you, Goddess Noel. Thank you, Picasso 773. Thank you, Brian Ash. Thank you, Terrence S. Thank you, Phoenix91. And thank you, Reagan, for supporting the channel. Listen, so many of y'all have amazing handles. And when I meet y'all in person, they'll be like, I'm this person from so-and-so. I'm like, baby, I believe you. So thank you for being here, Diamond Dave. And we look forward to seeing you next week, next Thursday.
Appreciate
because by next Thursday, there'll be some new news.
Exactly.
There's some new mess going on. So you guys, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out to him. And you guys, this is your girl, Erica, Classy Climb Blog. Have a wonderful evening. This way.
You've probably been seeing these commercials for Middleman to Millions course. What is Middleman to Millions? We're teaching so many people how to have service businesses. The upcoming year, one of the fastest growing businesses you will see are service businesses and digital businesses. Why is that? Because so many things need repairs, need maintenance. And guess what? We have a shortage of men and also women who could do things. Listen, I'm not the best with a hammer, but I know I can gather a crew of people to get things done. And that's what I've done with 2 of my service businesses. And that's what I'll be teaching if you check us out in the Middleman to Millions course. And look forward to us on the road with Digital Liberty Tour 2024. It's Erica Williams.